Now there were some things I want to go back to some something that Ismail was pointing out. And I think this is true. Now I'm probably the least the least of the brothers that are on this platform right now qualified to talk about the incarcerated Muslim for one reason, because I've never really gone into the prisons giving dawah at all. And then two, alhamdulillah, even when I had a so-called street life, uh, I did maybe 30 days in juvenile hall and then 30 days in LA County jail. And that's about all my time being locked up behind bars. And I remember when I was leaving LA County jail, they have something called the Twin Towers. I was going down and there was a OG going up. You know, when I say an OG, guy who was much older than me, buffed out, he was going up, and he looked at me, he said, "I see you leaving, youngster." He said, "Don't come back, I got all day." All right. And when I was leaving, I even had that mentality, I'm never coming back here. All right. I had that mentality as I was leaving. So anyway, the main point that I'm making is I'm probably the least qualified to talk about this subject, but there is something that I want to go back to what Ismail was saying, as it concerns the Muslims that are currently incarcerated. I think that for one, when it comes to the allurements or the enticements of this dunya, a lot of that stuff is removed from them due to the situation that they're in, circumstance that they're in. There is no women in prison for them to lust after. And a lot of the vices that people may have been into prior to prison are not there. And so it does give a person an opportunity to reflect off themselves, to reflect off the decisions that they've made, and it somewhat causes the person to go on a journey of self-reflection and self-improvement. And walillah alhamd, Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala makes prison a mercy for many because they end up accepting Islam. And of course, you know, this is a blessing from Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala upon them. However, in stating that and looking at that, the enticements that are on the streets are not there. So they're able to focus more on themselves when they're in that enclosed environment. But then once they hit the streets, it's almost as if everything is hitting them at one time. You hear something that you wasn't hearing before. You see things you weren't seeing before. You smell things you weren't smelling before. And all of those things are tug and pull at a person's nafs. And so when looking at and understanding that, then again, because one of the things about this show is we can state problems all day, but we want to start to become solution oriented in how we can deal with the things that people are faced with. Now, I'll give you an example. My father, walillah alhamd, prior to him going to jail, he was a gang member in Los Angeles. Los Angeles always had gangs. Even before Crips and Bloods, there were always gangs. So my father was a part of a gang called the Avenues. And my father, and this is well known of him, my father went to jail for murder. Back then, they wasn't given life for murder, but he went to jail for murder. And during that time when he was locked up, he got with the NOI, the Nation of Islam. And he said, he told me on more than one occasion that when he was released from YTS, the nation was in full swing at that time. And he said they didn't allow him to fall back into the enticements that were waiting for him on the streets, because they had a program for him when he came out. And he was busy running that program from night to day, that he didn't have time to go into this, check up on Junebug, check up on Pookie, and all these other individuals, these individuals that from the life that he had left behind. He didn't have time for any of that, because he was so busy pushing their program, because in his mind, their thinking back then was, we're trying to build a nation. And so I say that to say that I believe that a lot of the problems that the incarcerated Muslim faces after he's released from prison could be the fact that, one, they're too exposed to a lot of these enticements that they have been sheltered away from for so long, especially if you're dealing with a person at 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and thus for so long. The longer that they were away, the more that they were sheltered from some of these vices and the enticements that are present. And then when they come back to the streets, all of it hits them at one time. All of it hits them at one time. And so with that being said, because, you know, I think all three of you brothers have experience with dealing with brothers who are incarcerated and coming out. What can be some of the things, because it's first and foremost, it's the tawfiq of Allah for brothers that come out and are able to bear with these enticements that they're experiencing and seeing, and still hold firm to Allah's religion. You know, there's one of my best friends, a brother out of Compton, originally out of Compton. When he got out of prison, he said the same thing. He said the books that he was reading and about the Sunnah and things of that nature, when he went to the masajid, he wasn't seeing that in LA. You know, the Muslims, their concern wasn't towards making sure he was a part of the body, so to speak, until he came across one of the brothers out of Tawheed Abdullah's community, and he pulled him out of there and took him to Tawheed Abdullah's community. And back then, the community was real strong, right? And that's how he was able to, you know, how his iman was able to be consolidated, and that was like his support system, for lack of better expressions. So what are things that we as Muslims could do, especially when an incarcerated Muslim comes home? What are some of the things that we can do, or some of the things that we can organize to better be a support system for our brothers when they come home? And that's a question I'm throwing out to whoever wants to take it, and Allah knows best. Yeah, I'm you with Tawfiq.
Bismillah. The main important thing that everybody stresses that we have to have the right tawheed and the right akhlaq. When you have that tawheed, the inmates and the ones that get out, as well as us, we have to have the proper etiquette and exercising that tawheed. It's not something that we just read. And I find out most of the people, they don't really know how to depend on Allah. If they went in as drug dealers, the only thing that they know is how to hustle or how to sell drugs. We have to inform them that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the provider and he doesn't accept anything except that which is tayyib, we have to teach them the method of how to depend on Allah and know that you're going to have obstacles. But if you have the patience that our beloved brother and knowledge, he alluded to, that Yusuf alayhi salatu salam, at a very young age, he exercised all three aspects of patience, and he didn't give up, and he held that throughout his life, and he called people to it. And he didn't get revenge when he could have got revenge of his brothers. So we have to teach them how to make this Tawheed, to use it in their practical daily, application, their daily life. How to be a Muslim, how to be a Muslim upon Tawheed, how to have the etiquettes to do this and do that. We're not teaching them properly. And we're not teaching them how to have the skills. If you can't do that, then you need to turn to this. We have to supply that with them, and all of us have to support one another and all of our communities to make sure that we are supplying the community that we are in charge of or we are part of. We're supplying them with the needs that they have. Even if you don't have it, you make sure that you got that speaker to come there to educate them a week or 2 weeks so that they can truly depend on Allah the right way. And it's not something that they just pick up from the book and then after they close the book, they don't implement it. The Quran was sent down so that we can implement it after we ponder and understand its proper meaning. So I believe that's the key to our success.
Now, I don't know if Abdul Hafid has something to say. Abdul Hafid, if you do have something to say and you're trying to say it, you're muted, so we're not hearing anything. That's just to as a reminder to the brother, he may not realize he's muted. But something that you said, Tawfiq. First and foremost, you already know I don't disagree with any of that you just said, without a doubt. Unfortunately, I'm gonna give you some experiences of mine back in LA from brothers that were incarcerated, got out. We have brothers, and of course, this first example I'm gonna give is a person that had a lack of understanding of tawakkul, right? But we had a brother that was a diligent student in the classes of Sheikh Farid Abdullah in LA, diligent. He could tell you what the Sunnah is, and that's for so on. But unfortunately, whatever lifestyle he had lived prior to his Islam, fast money, fast women like this, although he had gotten married, he was still used to a lifestyle. Right? He was still used to a certain type of lifestyle. And so, and without a doubt, again, this is a lack of tawakkul ala Allah, without a doubt. But he started robbing at night. And it came to light when the police are knocking at the door of one of the another Muslim family, because he did a robbery in one of the brothers' car, one of the younger brothers' car. And the car was registered and like this, and that's how they caught up with him. And of course, once they caught up with him, he went back on his way to jail. Then there was another brother, good brother too. One of my best friends, one of the brothers I used to hang with closely when I first started attending Sheikh Farid Abdullah's masjid. He was another brother that had got out, had learned some things about Al-Islam while he was locked up. He was a reminder for me, but he was from a gang called Six Deuce East Coast Crip, and he was a youngster when he went in, and now he gets out. And gang culture is like myself. I never went back to my old neighborhood. I rode through there one time, and I hopped out, and I saw how people were treating me, and I said I'll never go back. because you got a bunch of people you don't know, but they all know you. You got that so-called street fame, and then the people that do know you, yeah, this is so-and-so right here, calling you by that former name and like this. So one of the brothers, he was from a gang called Six Deuce East Coast Crip. He ended up going back to his old neighborhood. He went away. He was a part of a crew from that neighborhood that used to do bank robberies in LA. And the banks that they were hitting were real big. So, they were making a lot of money. He started going back around there to his old neighborhood, and most likely he was seeing a bunch of people that everybody knew who he was. He didn't know who they were. And the street fame got to him. And next thing you know, he's back in prison for trying to rob this or do that, or whatever it was that he tried to do. But he ends up back in prison. Now, these are examples of people who to a degree, showed a lack of tawakkul ala Allah in that regard. So I'm not disputing that. But I guess my thing would be that there has to be some type of encouragement, along with them learning about tawakkul and things of that nature. There has to be some type of encouragement, either from leadership of communities encouraging the businessmen within the community to, one, hire brothers who are getting out of prison that have a hard time getting jobs because of their records, or two, having some type of training set up where the brothers can learn skills to where they can make money the legal way, instead of looking at their past life and saying, well, I don't put in this application, that application, nothing's happening. And, I could just go on and slide back with a little C-rag and we can go do this. And thus forth and so on. I think that there has to be some type of focus in that regard as well, and Allah knows best.
You're 100% right. That's why they don't come around to the masjid a lot, because there are no programs to facilitate that, and we don't stress that. So you're 100% right. I think we have to think outside of just a masjid. We have to develop other programs so that we can facilitate them, but the foundation is that which they learn.